Right now on WCNC Plus, gun owners who've taken steps to treat their addiction and are in active recovery are getting denied concealed carry permits by the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. It's costing some of them thousands of dollars to fight the illegal denials in court. It's all because of a long-standing system in place that prevents people from living in sobriety from legally concealing their guns when in public. And thank you for joining us here. I'm Jane Monreal alongside investigative reporter Nate Morabito. Thank you, Nate, for being here.
Love our chats. Thank you.
Yes, I do too. I love this in depth. Let's start with the law. Who can and cannot get a concealed carry permit in North Carolina?
All right, so we're talking specific about addiction and illegal drug use here. Okay, so let's just focus on that for a minute. If you are addicted to a drug or controlled substance, or you are illegally taking drugs, you are not allowed to get a concealed carry permit. This is a gun that you can put in your pocket, on a holster, you can cover it up over your, under your blazer. You don't have to carry it openly, right? Which can be, make you a target, it can be intimidating to people. So this is a chance to kind of carry a gun, but without flaunting that you have a gun. And the law is really interesting here because when it talks about addiction, it doesn't see addiction as a lifelong battle necessarily. We often hear that addiction is a lifelong battle. You're always going to have maybe a temptation that you have to take steps to control. But if you have not lost self-control, or you're not habitually using this and endangering people, technically the law allows you to get a concealed carry permit. And that's what we're really talking about here. Should people who have battled addiction, who maybe attended one AAA meeting 30 years ago, be denied a concealed carry permit? And we found it's happening frequently. It's happened under at least two sheriffs, the current sheriff and the former sheriff. And judges are overturning those denials because they are wrong. These people should be getting concealed carry permits. So in this case where you spoke to some, what is the sheriff's office then doing to people with addiction in their past? So here they have a memo that we were able to obtain that makes it very clear. It leaves no room for nuance at all. It very plainly says if you've attended one AA meeting, one NA, Narcotics Anonymous meeting, if you've attended detox just once throughout your lifetime, you are to be denied your permit. So it does not look at the individual, and that's really the issue. If we're looking at a case-by-case basis, should someone who had a really low moment 25 years ago and then sought treatment be denied a concealed carry permit? And here's the real interesting thing about this too, Jane. I mean, these are people that are taking steps to treat their addiction, right? And the sheriff's office is finding this out through background checks because you give them the right to look through your background and get mental health records when you apply for a concealed carry permit. But if I were addicted and I did not seek treatment and I privately battled it, I could theoretically get a concealed carry permit. Now, who is more dangerous? That is what advocates here are saying. Is it the person that's actively trying to be in recovery and be sober, or the person who's hiding their addiction? Interesting take there. So you did speak to a few dozen people then who have taken this to court and actually won. So what is this guy's story? So this man is Chris Cranston. You're going to hear from him in a second. He, when he was much younger, tells us that he got in trouble for growing some marijuana plants, right? And he eventually lost his rights. He lost his gun rights. So over the years and decades that followed, his brother was murdered. And he said, for my own protection, I want to apply for a gun permit. A couple gun permits, actually. He did that. He got the permits, but then something in his past was flagged by the sheriff's office, and it essentially said that he was smoking marijuana regularly every night about a year prior. He told us it was actually CBD and it was a sleep aid that just wasn't working, but nonetheless, that one little note in his history basically made the sheriff's office come and take his gun permits. So he paid $7,000 to get that overturned. But a judge in the end agreed with him that he should get this concealed carry permit. Take a listen.
It was really a weight on me for a lot of years. So it was a very, very celebratory event, like when I finally got those rights back, because it was like part of my genome. Like, I'm supposed to have a gun. I'm American. I'm responsible for my own safety. Gary McFadden, Van Shaw, no police officer out there is responsible for me. or my wife's safety. That's us. It's been ruled on, it's been talked about, it's been in courts, it's been everywhere. And you're not going to be able to sue Gary McFadden because he lets out a criminal and they come and kill your wife. That's not how it works. You have to protect yourself. I have to protect myself. That's America way.
All right. So what was the process like then to speak to the sheriff?
So the sheriff generally is not camera shy. Sheriff Gary McFadden, he's been in the news a lot lately, but he usually is because he's very outspoken. We reached out very early on in our reporting and said, hey, we want to make some time to talk with you on camera about this policy and why you're denying these. We really want to understand your side of this here. And we gave really kind of a long runway to get that interview because we wanted to be flexible. We understand life is busy. We wanted to give him an opportunity to sit down just like we're sitting,
right,
in a controlled setting, and just have a conversation on camera, of course, about the process there. The sheriff's office said, no, we're not going to do that. He's not going to sit down with you. Here's a statement. You know, very few denials get appealed and very few of those actually get overturned. We take everything on a case-by-case basis. The sheriff believes in the Second Amendment, but he has to follow the law too. That was essentially their statement that I'm summarizing right here. But I said, you know, this is a public issue and the public deserves an answer on camera directly from him about this. So I texted him, number one, to say, hey, Sheriff, I'm just trying to understand why you won't talk with us. Like, we really are trying to understand your side of this. He did not respond. He read it, but he did not respond to it. So I emailed the sheriff's office and said, look, in the coming days and weeks, we intend to talk to the sheriff on camera in a public setting and get the answers to the questions that we have. And I think what you're going to see here is us asking those questions.
Hey, Sheriff.
How you all?
Good. How you doing? Nate Morabito, WCNC
I know
Charlotte.
exactly who you are.
Why won't you talk to us about why you're denying those concealed carry permits?
Wait, let's correct that. Why I won't talk to you?
Yeah,
I'm talking to you now.
I love it.
Okay.
So tell me, why are you all consistently denying concealed carry permits
It is
for
a
people
process.
for people in active recovery?
It is a process of appeal process. They have a time to appeal it.
It costs thousands of dollars to appeal.
That's a process.
So you're
It's a process.
you're putting the responsibility on those people.
No, that's the responsibility of their rights.
They are in active recovery. Some people for 30 years, and you're denying them.
I deny them.
Your office is denying them. How is that fair?
Process of the judicial system. Process of the
But
judicial
the process
system.
starts with you.
But it's a process of the judicial system. Like when you get arrested, it's a process.
The law defines an addict as a habitual user who endangers the public or has lost the power of self-control.
And if you don't agree with that, it's a process for the Mecklenburg County court system.
So you are leaving it up to them to appeal it.
Well, they have to appeal it. I can't tell them to appeal it or not appeal it. That's their God-given right and choice.
But you can grant them their concealed carry permit.
I would grant people freedom if I could, but the law says differently.
I just read you the law.
Right.
If someone is not by law an addict, they should not have their concealed carry permit denied.
And if they don't agree with the process, they appeal it.
You have a memo that says if you attend AA once, you should be denied. How is that fair?
The process before the court system. Come through the process of appeal. That's what our justice system is for. If you don't agree with the verdict or the decision, you appeal it through the process.
Are you afraid for safety reasons, though? What is the reason?
We all should be, look, do not soundbite this. Everyone should be cautious and think about safety reasons, no matter what.
What about your chief deputy resigning last week? Do you want to say anything about that? The third world dictatorship conduct?
I wish him well. I wish him well. I wish him well.
Why are you smiling about it?
Because I'm smiling here. Look at, don't soundbite this. I'm smiling here because I'm helping people with health. And that's why I'm smiling going over here.
You don't want to say anything to your employees that stay that may have the same concerns?
I have many employees who may say different. We can line up employees, but that's not what we're going to do.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
All right, got the whole interview there, and at a time where his chief deputy had talked about his resignation, so that was gotten that question there as well.
Right, which was not the main point for us
Sure.
to talk to him because we're really trying to just understand this whole
Right.
concealed carry permit. But as I mentioned, he tends to be a lightning rod, and in recent days he's kind of apologized for some things he said in the past related to his chief deputy. But as far as his stance on this issue, it does not seem, there's no indication that it's going to change anytime soon. But I think I would just point out here for people that are maybe just learning about this, and I've heard from people that have fought this and won too, by the way, you know, the best thing you can do is know your rights here. Are you addicted? Are you in active recovery? Are you a danger to the community? Have you lost all self-control? There's some different things at play here. And if something comes up in your medical records that the sheriff's office gets that shows a one-time or two-time thing in your past, there is an avenue to challenge that. And some people would say you should hire an attorney. Others say you could argue it yourself, but if you hire an attorney, it's going to cost you money. And there's no guarantee you're going to win, but we found more than 20 cases under this sheriff alone where judges said, no, the sheriff got it wrong. His office got it wrong.
Well, and he did say it is that process of appealing, albeit the costly price of it.
Sure, but like, you get charged with a crime and then you got to prove your innocence. That's kind of the same kind of thing. So you really have to look at the totality of it and make the best decision, because you don't want to, charge someone with a crime that's not really guilty and then let them appeal it later. That's not really fair either.
Sure. So along those lines, is there anything that can be done from this happening to other people who might be legally qualified?
Well, I know, there is some concern from the legal community about this, and I know they're monitoring if things are going to change there, because, there's an attorney we talked to in our story. His name's Ron Shook, who has sued the sheriff before about how long it's taken to get gun permits processed. And I know he's monitoring the situation very closely as well, because he doesn't think it's fair. He told us his mom is an addict. This hits very close to home for him. And not only does he believe in redemption, he says the law allows for it too.
All right, Nate, thank you for that in-depth discussion there. The sheriff and permits being denied. Thank you again for joining us here on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal with Nate Morabito. The news continues right now.